Hello. So today I want to tell you about the game Waddle from All Play. And this game is adorable. It's with penguins. I love it. I taught this to my family. We had a great time with it. It plays 2 to 5 players, but if you're playing with 2 players, some of the rules are a little bit different, but the gameplay is the same. So what you are going to do is you're going to have all of these tiles and you're going to take anything out that's not for your player count. So I'm going to set up a 3-player game. So these blue backed ones are used for everyone. And then orange is for 3 plus, purple is for 5, and green is for 4 plus. So you shuffle everything up and you set up this board in a random order. So it's recommended when you first start playing that you don't leave gaps and holes and things like that. But as you get more familiar with the game, do whatever you want. Make peninsulas, make the board wonky, make it tricky. I choose to put some of the water spaces together. So I guess mine isn't 100% random, but it's because it makes the game, in my opinion, a little bit more exciting rather than having every one of them just off on their own. So we're setting up our game with all of these pieces. We'll do it this way. We'll do this just because I don't have a ton of space that the camera shows. So this is our board for this game. And like I said, it varies game to game, looks a little bit different. This is a 3-player game. So everybody has a marble and then everybody has penguins. And most of your penguins are just a little guy, just one little penguin, but you have 2 that have 2 penguins on them. And yes, that does matter because 2 penguins counts for double. So you've got this little track here. We'll put it right here for now. And this is your turn order track. So to start out, it is random. First player will be yellow, then followed by purple, then followed by green. So on your turn, I'm trying to see where I can set this so you can still see it. On your turn, you will decide, am I going to place a penguin around the current number, or do I want to pass and be in a better turn order for the next number? So what happens is we start with our lowest number, which right here is 1. So what we are going to do is we are going to make sure that there is a penguin on every ice space that is touching the number 1 before we move on to the next number. And 2 is clear over here. 3's here, 4's here, 5's over here. So as you can see, we're jumping around the board. But because 1 is here, and these are all going to be full for 1, we're also then getting something on 4. So let's say yellow goes first, and they're like, you know what? I am going to go here because that's going to get me a penguin next to 1 and next to 4, which I'll explain why that's important in a minute. So they went, and then they just moved their little marble down the track. Now it's purple's turn. They can decide to place on one of the remaining spaces next to 1, or they could say, you know what? I'm really liking the way 2's looking, and there's a certain spot that I really want. So they are going to jump tracks. And then green's going to go, and they're going to say, okay, I place a penguin there. And then they go there. And then yellow's going to go. And I feel like, you know what? I'm good there. I'm going to jump tracks. Then green now has to fill in all of the remaining spaces next to number 1. In this case, there was only 1, but had there been multiple, they would be forced to fill in all of those spaces and then move on. So now we go to this track and we have a new turn order. And we're going to do the same thing around number 2. And as you can see, there's 4 spaces around number 2. So why are we doing this? Well, some of these numbers have fish on them. Some do not. So for example, here is number 6. It has a 3-point fish on it. So if you have the majority around there, you're going to get that fish. So that's great. Some numbers, however, like number 10, have nothing. So you're not going to score any fish for having the majority around there. So that may determine why you want to jump tracks early. But the other way that you score points is by having a continuous line of penguins around the board, and you can use your double for 2 penguins. So if green had this set up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they're going to get a ton of points for 6 penguins. I don't have, of course, my handy dandy reference out here. So I always forget what the exact numbers are for the penguins. Because of course there's a player aid that I forgot to get out. And yes, there's So you can look there. So for the waddles, which is what the penguins are called, a 6 waddle would get you 21 points, where like a waddle of 3 penguins only gets you 6 points. So there is a big difference. So yes, there are player aids that tell you what to do on your turn. And then it tells you how everything will be scored at the end because it is a combination of your waddles and the fishing ponds. Now, if we get to a pond that has multiple scoring fish, whoever has the most will score the highest fish. Second most penguins will score the next lowest fish, and so on. So there is sometimes a reason to be around an area like this, because even though the one didn't score, these other 3 will, and we're counting all the penguins around that lake or that area. And that's why I like to put some of those together so that not everything is just off on its own. So, like I said, you get to determine, are you going to place a penguin? Are you going to jump tracks? Because we always just go back and forth between the 2 tracks. At the end of the game, you score for each of your waddles, depending on how many penguins they have, up to 8. If you have more than 8, that's the maximum number of points. And then we score the lakes based on majority of penguins around them. So this is a fun game because it's really approachable. It's really easy to teach, but then there's that strategy of, when do I want to jump? How am I trying to surround a lake? Because maybe one number isn't going to help me out, but in the long term it is. How am I getting my long waddles? It's a really fun game. The board looks different every time you play, so you can't always be like, oh yeah, I know, I just need to go for numbers 4, 7, and 10 and I'm good. And you expand the board for more players, so there's plenty of room for everyone. So I am really enjoying Waddle from All Play. I love the games in this size box. So have you played it? What do you think of it? What are your favorite games that come in this size box? Give me a like and a follow, and I'll keep bringing you more board game content. Thanks. Bye.